Hello and welcome to Blossom Sandwich Sews. My name is Yvette and today I'm bringing you my Sew Upcycle 22 video. So I'm sure a lot of you will have already heard about this challenge from Becky at Notes for the Sewing Room and Karen at So Little Time. So I will be, I'll share more about like how to join in with the challenge at the end because probably a lot of people here will have already watched the vlog tour, so they'll already know all about it, and maybe you've already started working on your upcycle project. So I'm going to start off by just telling you like some thoughts that I have about upcycling. So I was thinking about what is the difference between upcycling and refashioning. So I think this is just my own personal opinions, haven't researched it at all, but what I was thinking was upcycling, it doesn't have to be like a garment that you start with, it can be like a non-fashion fabric that you use. So you could go like Sound of Music and make something out of curtains, or I've seen some really good like projects where people have made really nice blouses out of like embroidered tablecloths and stuff. So you can get really creative with that sort of angle of it using like non-fashion fabrics, or there's also like the refashioning element comes into upcycling as well. It's like a sort of another way you could go, where you start with like pre-made clothes, so whether you want to use clothes that you've already made and you want to change them up, or some ready-to-wear clothes. For example, if you go to the charity shop, you can often get things that have quite a lot of fabric in for quite a good price, like compared to buying new fabric. And it's also a way to be sustainable as well, because you're using things that are already sort of existing in the world rather than using new materials for things that you're making. And it also is a kind of a challenge to your creativity, like whichever route you decide to go down with your upcycling, because often with especially if you start with a garment, you're very limited in the amount of fabric that you have, and then you've got two options. So you can either just try and use it as fabric, so you can just try and like, you know, place your pattern pieces on the garment that you've already got and cut them out, you know, just to make a whole new garment. So that is kind of a challenge in, you know, squeezing things out of small amounts of fabric and thinking about, when you're choosing your garment that you start with, thinking about the seam lines and what's going to be achievable with that garment. So for example, if you start with just like a maxi skirt or something, you can basically do whatever you want with it because it's kind of just a length of fabric. But if you start with, for example, like a men's dress shirt, you've got, you know, the button placket, the collar, and you can also choose to like reincorporate those elements into your finished product. So it is quite a good challenge in your own sort of creativity, and I think it uses different skills from just using, you know, new fashion fabric. So yeah, I think it's quite an interesting thing to try. And I know a lot of people watching will be familiar with the sewing bee and the middle challenge that they do. What do they call it? Transformation challenge. And that's always quite fun to watch as a viewer, because you never know what they're going to do, because they have such a limited amount of time, and they have such a ridiculous challenge. Like, it's like, I don't know, take this sleeping bag and make a Halloween costume for a child. You kind of have to pick an idea and then just run with it. So that's quite fun to watch, because you really get to see the like creativity of the sewists in that challenge. Because I think it is more about the creative thinking of what can you do with this starting material, and how much can you change it. It's more about that rather than the actual sewing skill like the other challenges are. So yeah, I think it's really good that that Becky and Karen are hosting this challenge to get people to kind of think about upcycling things that they might have been sitting on for a while. So now I'm going to get on and talk to you about what I have made. So because the month is knocking on a bit and the deadline for this challenge is the end of the month, so 31st of October, I've already sort of done my project, so I'm going to show them to you now and hopefully get some feedback from you, because they were kind of mixed success, and there's also like a theme with what the issues were. So I'm hoping that we can get some insight together. So the first upcycling project that I've done is actually what I'm wearing right now. So this originally, I'll put in a picture of what it looked like originally, was a Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress. So if you look at the pictures, it doesn't even look bad, but I just felt like it wasn't fitting me right. And I think the issue was with the shoulders. So when I like moved my arms, it would feel like tight along the back. But I think you can give your input, because obviously that's why I'm here and I'm talking to you about it. But I think that the shoulders are probably too wide for me, because the arm side is like coming kind of over my arms. So when I move my arms, it's also moving the bodice rather than just the sleeves. So I decided that I would cut off the sleeves, and I also cut off the collar, because I'll put in a close-up picture, but I really struggled with the collar on the Lyra. It's the first kind of collar, like proper collar, that I've sewn, and I just found it really difficult, and it's really uneven, and I just like wasn't happy with it. So I decided I'll cut that off and make it into a V-neck, which is kind of inspired by the Shelby dress that I made recently, because I thought that was a nice shape. So I will stand up so you can see. So the rest I kept the same. I was debating whether to do some darts to bring the waist in, but I actually think it's not that loose. So in order to make the armholes fit better, like so with a sleeved bodice, the armholes are drafted differently so that there's more room to like get the sleeve in and also be able to move your arms. So there was, when I just cut the sleeves off, I just snipped them right off, and there was quite a lot of gaping like here in the front. So I lifted the shoulders, I raised them up by about 3 centimeters just to bring like the bottom of the armhole up, because obviously I don't need all that space when I don't have the sleeves anymore. So I brought that up, and then I also just took in the side seams a bit to also release, to also bring in some of that gaping. So I think the armholes, like they're all right now. Like there's, you know, still a little bit of gapping, but it does need to be comfortable, and I do need to be able to still move. So yeah, that is kind of what I've done with that. And then I just did bias binding around the new neck hole and the new armholes. So that was kind of quite a quick fix, and I still, you know, kept the skirt, kept the pockets and everything. So I'm still not quite sure about the shoulders. I don't know whether the shoulder sort of straps are still a bit wide or still a bit too far out on my shoulders. I'll try and get a view of me standing up so you can actually properly see it. Hold on a second. Okay, so here, this I'm more or less in, so you can see the hem of the skirt is just here, just above my knees, and then this is the waist, so it's kind of maybe just above my natural waist, but that's sort of fine. And then the bodice, so I've got these Pigeon Wishes buttons that I've only got 2 now, so that's a bit weird. I think I would have 3, but obviously I already had the buttonholes from the Lyra. I'm a bit not quite pleased with the pattern placement on this placket, because I've got the eyes in there again. So if I were to redo that, I would try not to have the eyes in the middle, because I think it's a bit creepy. But yeah, let me know what you think. So I've still got quite a lot, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's quite loose up here in the back. So maybe that's another sign that it's too wide across the back, across the shoulders. So I made this in a Tilly size 5, which I think is around a UK 14. And at my current measurements, that's actually, I think, a bit smaller than my current measurements, but some of my measurements. I'll put the a picture of the measurements chart in so that you can see it. So yeah, I don't know whether I need to maybe do a 4 at the shoulders or do a narrow shoulder adjustment. So yeah, let me know what you think about that if I were to make another Lyra dress, because I know it is a really popular pattern and a lot of people have made loads of versions, but this is the only one that I've done. and yeah, I found it didn't really work for me. But I am kind of pleased with this upcycle. I think it is more wearable now than when it was the Lyra, because I couldn't really move my arms very much. So I think it will be cute for the summer, and I could also wear it with like a black t-shirt, or I'd make a coloured t-shirt because there's quite a lot of colours in this, like a yellow t-shirt or something underneath if I wanted more coverage. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my next make. I'll put it on in a second, but this is also a Tilly and the Buttons pattern, and it is the new Marnie pattern. So the first one was like the upcycle where you use the features and you change it up. So I kept the button placket, kept the skirt, just changed the sort of shape of the bodice. Whereas this one, I didn't really keep any of the original features of what it was made of, and I just placed the pattern pieces onto the garment and made something completely new. So this is the Tilly and the Buttons Marnie. The sleeves are short sleeves because I just didn't have enough fabric, and also the length of it is shorter as well. But it was kind of like a toile for the Marnie as well, because I haven't made it before. I've only just got the pattern. I bought it at the Knitting and Stitching show, so I just wanted to try it out and see if it fitted, and because it was just using fabric from a different garment that I wasn't wearing, I thought, well, there's not really a lot to lose. So yeah, so originally this fabric, this is it's a really light single gauze, which I think you don't often get, but it was from Hey So Sister, and I used it to make the Barden dress, and that was for the free pattern sewing challenge that Ruan, the Yorkshire Sew Girl, and Sam Frugalissima do together. So I think it was the first year they did it, when it was called Frugal Frocks. So I put in a picture of my Barden dress, and I had a bit of a nightmare making it because, I don't know, the gathers didn't work very well, and I don't feel like the bodice fits great. And I just never was wearing it because it is very light material, so it's very summery, but also because it's white, it's like a little bit sheer, so using it as a dress, I just didn't really feel like super comfortable in it. So I decided I'd have a go at refashioning it to, make use of the fabric. So yeah, I did the pin tucks because I wanted to try them out. They went okay. They're a little bit wonky, but I decided not to do the on the Marnie pattern. You can press them up and down. I can't remember what they called it. But yeah, I like the pin tucks, and they were actually surprisingly easy to do. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, I'd give it a go. And then it's got like a keyhole back, and I used this button from Ethel and Joan, which I think goes really nicely with the sort of paint splash fabric. So I'll put this on and you can see my qualms with the fitting. Okay, so here I've got my Marnie on, and it's quite cute. I've just got it with some jeans on. So it's like a loose, floaty kind of top, but more fitted across the shoulders. Obviously I haven't hemmed it because I kind of got disheartened when I was thinking about the fitting. So it just feels like it's quite sort of, I don't know, just not right around the shoulders. So that seam, so there's kind of a panel in the bodice, and then there's another panel that comes down the sides. So the shoulder seam is here, which I think is a bit too far over, because this is my shoulder bone here. So when I move my arm, this is like already over the crease, as you can see. And I think the arm, the armpit's like out here on my arm rather than like all the way up in here. And on the back as well, you can see the arm side is there on the arm. So when I move my arms, it feels like it's really tight along the back. So I think, I'm sorry, this feels like such like a kind of weird goblin-y pose. Oh, there we go, I feel like I'm really tall now. So yeah, it feels like it's too tight along the back. So I think the sort of instinct is to think I need a bigger size, but I think the shoulders maybe are too wide, and it just feels kind of uncomfortable like up in the armpits, and then if I move my arms, and also if I put my arm up, you get a lot of belly out. So it's not ideal. I don't think I'd make another Marnie the same as this. So this is just a straight size 5. So maybe I should have thought about it a bit more, because obviously it's the same pattern company as my Lyra that I just spoke about. But yeah, the 5 the measurements are actually a bit smaller than my current measurements, and I didn't want it to be, you know, too tight across the bust or anything. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think I should do about the Marnie, because I don't want to have to like give up fully on all Tilly and the Buttons top patterns, because they do really good patterns. And the Marnie is so cute. Like, imagine like this in a really cute like cotton lawn, I think would be lovely. And also the actual design's got what they call bishop sleeves, maybe, where they're fitted at the top and then more puffy at the bottom. So yeah, that is yeah, that's my second upcycle project that I've done. Also not perfect, but I mean, we're not here for perfection, are we? We're here to learn. And so yeah, I think I've learned that there's something that I need to do about the Tilly and the Buttons shoulders, maybe. But yeah, please let me know your fitting advice, or if you've had similar issues to me and what you have done about them. So yeah, just to make the point that this shoulder issue isn't a criticism of like Tilly and the Buttons and their drafting or anything, because I did have a similar issue with this Celeste dress that I made from Sulky Patterns. I think the shoulders on this are too wide as well, but this I made in a really cute fabric, and another great button match. But yeah, I haven't worn this either since I made it, just because the shoulders aren't really comfortable, and I'm not sure what to do about it, because if you change the shoulder arm side, then you've got to change the sleeve as well, and I just was a bit like overwhelmed by the idea of fitting it. But I do have a little bit more of this fabric, so maybe there's something I can do with it. I was thinking in the summer about changing it into the something inspired by the bubble dress. I can't remember who the pattern's by, but I'll put in a picture. So it's like a sort of strappy kind of sundress with scallops across the top of the bodice. So yeah, I was thinking about doing something like that, but the bodice is like sort of waist length at the front, but only sort of down to the shoulder blades, and then it gathers on the back. So I just needed to put some thinking into that, and yeah, I wasn't feeling particularly brain powered over the last few months. But yeah, so it is probably just my shape, but I just need to figure out you know, the fitting adjustment that I need to do, and it'll probably be valuable for multiple different patterns. So yeah, this I guess was probably a bit of a different video from a few of the other vloggers who've done their sew upcycle videos, but I thought I would show you what I've done rather than my plans, because I have actually already you know, started the sewing. And I do have a video that I made around May for my Me Made May, when I went through my wardrobe and sorted out all the things that I wanted to upcycle and mend. So yeah, I'll put in a link to that video, and I think I might actually have a video about the making of my Lyra dress as well, so I'll put in a link to that as well if you want to see the ordeal of making it the first time. Yeah, so right, let's talk a bit about the actual challenge, if you want to join in with that. So as I said at the start, the challenge is hosted by Becky at Notes from the Sewing Room and Karen So Little Time. So you have to tag them in your entry, and if you want to enter, you have to make a garment for a person. It can be you or someone else, but not a pet is specified. I mean, that sounds really cute, so if you want to make something for your pet, just send it to me and I will very much enjoy it. You won't get a prize, but yeah, that's the rules. You just have to make a human garment, which doesn't seem too much of a stipulation, and you could either use like a non-garment fabric, like a tablecloth, bedspread. You know, bedspread is actually a good shout because you get a lot of fabric from like a double duvet, or you can like upcycle another item of clothing. And so the hashtag is SewUpcycle22 for your entry. So you have to post that on the 31st of October. Use hashtag SewUpcycle22 and tag Becky, Notes from the Sewing Room, and Karen, So Little Time, just so they are able to see your post. And there's loads and loads of prize sponsors, so you're in with a good chance of winning something if you post on the 31st. If you want to post before, you can use SewUpcycle22 WIP to share your works in progress if you want to give everyone a sneak peek of what you've been working on. And yeah, that's it. Do check out the hashtag SewUpcycle22 on YouTube as well, because there is I think there's a YouTuber like at least one every day, maybe some days there's like a couple throughout the whole of October. So yeah, do check that out because you might discover some new channels. Maybe you've even discovered my channel. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video and want to stick around, do remember to subscribe. And so on tomorrow is Sew Amelia, and yesterday was You Got Me in Stitches. So I will link to those channels, but there's loads, there's one every day. I'm not going to shout all of them just because you'll be here all day. But if you want to be here all day, just check out the hashtag on YouTube, and then you'll be able to see what everyone else has planned as well, because it's quite interesting, especially when people are upcycling like garments that they've made. It's interesting to see like why they are like maybe not in love with that garment and what they want to change it to. So yeah, that is the challenge and my contribution to it. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a chat. And yeah, thanks for joining me on this upcycling journey. Happy sewing everyone, and I shall see you around. Bye.